In the last section, we finished up our client deployment configuration file, and we're now ready to toss this thing off to kubectl and see it running on our local cluster. Now, before we do, I want to give you a very quick reminder. If you flip over to your terminal and do a kubectl get pods, you'll recall that we still have the original pod that we had created with our client pod.yaml configuration file. I think that would be really nice if we got rid of this pod or somehow deleted it before we sent out our deployment. That way that when we get our pods in the future, we will only see the one pod that was created by the deployment as opposed to the one pod from the deployment and this one pod from the original client pod configuration file we had created. So I want to figure out how we can delete this existing pod. Now, to remove an existing object, we're going to be making use of the configuration file that was used to create it. So in order to remove an existing object, we're going to run kubectl delete -f, and it will pass in the config file that was used to create that object. When we pass in that configuration file, kubectl is going to look at the file. So here's the client pod file. It's going to look at this file. It's going to look at the kind property right here and the name specified as well. kubectl is then going to try to find an object with the same type that has the same name. And when it finds it, it's going to delete it. Now, one thing I want to mention very quickly here is that this delete command seems an awful lot like an imperative update to our cluster. And in fact, it really is. This is an imperative update. We are issuing a very direct command that says, hey, Kubernetes, I want you to make this very discrete change to the state of our cluster. Now, unfortunately, this is something that we really just can't quite get over. When we want to create a resource or change an existing resource, we pass in an updated configuration file. And so we're kind of leaving it up to Kubernetes to make the appropriate changes. But when we want to delete a resource, unfortunately, if we wanted to delete some object inside of our cluster,